What's good, everybody? So now we got a new show called Show Love. This is under the Love Podcast umbrella. And once again, I'm your host, L.U.V.Jones.
And it's your boy Drake.
And today we got some very special guests. So this time I wanted to invite our homies up here, friends of the show, people that we want to move forward with. So at the bottom we got Chef House, and he's a returning guest. And we got DeAjai. I'm gonna let y'all introduce yourselves. So what's going on, House?
Man, like you said, man, Chef House, Rocky Mountain native, 2'5", stand up, man. Glad to be back on the show. Glad to, be back in good company. Looking forward to having a good conversation. And, like I said, having that good banner, man, and just bouncing off ideas of each other, you know what I'm saying? And, seeing where the conversation goes, man.
For sure.
DeAjai Dawkins. Is her born and raised in Charlotte, moved to Harrisburg, a little town right outside. Finished out middle school, rest of high school there. Met my boy Mike in Durham, in North Carolina Central. Like House was speaking on before we started recording, one of the best experiences of my life, one of the best 4 years of my life. So, the fact that this is a result of that time, it's almost like a full circle moment, man. I'm blessed to be on here with y'all.
Sure.
Sir, man. So everybody watching at home, show love. We're gonna have this show multiple times a week, and we're just gonna be talking about, topics that's going on in the world, and so we're gonna give our input up there. Of course, we always wanna lift our vibrations when we're doing this, but it's gonna be more so with everybody, with the homies. So we're gonna get right into it. What's the first topic, Drake?
So the first topic for today is, are NIL deals ruining college sports? What y'all think, y'all? How y'all feel about the NIL deals that these kids been getting nowadays?
How we gonna spend it? Like what order we going in? Are we just going?
We just
Hey,
going.
House, you should go. Yeah, you got the experience, man.
You got the most experience right now, so you got to speak.
Before he go, let me tell y'all, for people who may not know. So House, he played at Virginia Tech 3 years, so superstar. He was a rising star, and he had his ups and downs at school. He dealt with some. Y'all need to check out that podcast we dropped with Chef House, season 4, but y'all understand the story. But you have experience with this, so see, I think NILs came out after you left.
Yeah,
right?
I think NIL started maybe I think like 2020-ish, maybe around COVID time, so maybe 2021 at the latest. So like 2 or 3 years after I left. But I would say just it's a blessing and a curse. The NIL is a little bit in a funny spot right now because it's in a way like level the playing field. Like with all the schools, you've had schools like, NIL is for those who don't know, its name is an image and likeness. So it allows players to get paid for essentially them being good and their name being attached to them. They can now get paid for things that we didn't do for years now. But basically, I would just say that now you before you have schools that were probably either scared or they might not have had the funding to be able to, give somebody some money under the table. Whereas now, since it's pretty much a wide open market and you have boosters who now see that and know they like people, it's from the top to bottom. There's so many people that have their hands in NIL now. And I think that's a great opportunity for student athletes to get paid and, get some money. But at the same time, it is also like kind of made it where it's like who you going to the highest bidder versus like people not really going to schools because they feel like, that's the best fit for them, or they're not going to a school because, they feel like they work schematically and, they can see themselves being a quarterback here, and maybe they might have to fight somebody out. That element of like competitiveness is kind of like left out. There's so many different like, I guess, loopholes with it, but at the same time, you can't, like, as a former player, I can never say that I don't want other players to get paid. And in college, we've all been to college. It's a hard time, so being broke isn't something that's fun. And when you're spending all your time and your energy putting things in and energy into a school, and then you also are still broke, where, you know what I'm saying, excuse me, where it just makes it feel like you're almost getting backhanded, because like you see all the money flowing in. You see like when we run out at 67,000 people, all these people pay for a ticket. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like, so like where's that money going? Whereas like now everybody get a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? If you know how to market yourself. So like I said, this is a blessing and a curse, man.
Okay. Hey, I had a quick question for you, House, before anybody else wanted to jump in and kind of get your insight as well. How do you think that the transfer portal and the changes in the transfer portal coincides with the NIL deal that came around 2020? How do you think the two coexist with one another?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like you said, like you said it perfectly, they coexist. Because like now, you gotta say, just on speaking hypotheticals, we got a guy that goes to Alabama out of high school, and he might not be starting his freshman year. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't got redshirted. But you got let's say USC. They want the guy. They've been wanting him since he was a sophomore or junior in high school. And they like, all right, we'll shoot you $500,000. Get your parents a house, and you have a high rise out in Southern Cal somewhere, in a car. Just transfer out. You know what I'm saying? It's now, like, to me, I'm a competitor, but why would I want to compete against this guy to get this spot when I can get all of that? You know what I'm saying? And in return, and be a starter and be able to still feed my family. Like, I have no reason to leave college now. So they just go hand in hand, bro. That, like, you know what I'm saying? It like I said, it opened up the market so that now, like, everybody can really, if you got the funds, you can pay to play.
Yeah. That's real.
Sure. And the backtrack on that, the NIL deals started in 2021. So you was right around that good time.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking at the landscape of college sports as a whole. Basketball is primarily where I put my focus toward. I'm real passionate about grassroots to college basketball. Mm-hmm. So seeing how name, image, and likeness has impacted how college recruits are perceiving these schools before they take their visits. Just
for sure.
I feel like going into any situation with any preconceived ideas about what it may be or what you may get out of it is going to impact the actual experience itself. So before I schedule a visit or before I go on my scheduled visit, if I know this school is in a position where they can line my pockets in a way that some of the other schools I have, I might go there and over glorify what I see. The campus really might not be all that. The amenities may not be all that. The people I may not rock with like that, but I may find myself tolerating things that generally I wouldn't tolerate just because of what that bag may look like. So I can definitely see what you're saying there. Even if people try their very best to not let the money impact how they perceive the school, I can only speak for myself, but I find it hard to imagine that a lot of people can eliminate that factor from their mind when making a decision or prior to making the decision.
And money made the world go round, man. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you got to be a hellified person to be able to, you know what I'm saying, see X amount of zeros, especially somebody that's coming from, you know what I'm saying, a family who may not be well off or may not even well off. They just may not be, you know what I'm saying, in a situation where they're not living check to check. You know what I'm saying? That alone, and then you got somebody that can drop I don't know, 50,000 a semester or whatever it may be. You don't know what these numbers are now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's with all these boosters, there's limitless amounts of money that can come into these kids' pockets now. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? How stand up and how competitive are you versus you helping your family out for the future, even if you don't make it to the league?
For sure. Yeah. Our top five, like the top five. So what I'm looking at right now, the top 5 NIL deal earners right now are Bronny James. We got Shadur Sanders. We got Livy Dunn from LSU. We got Arch Manning from Texas and Travis Hunter from Colorado.
Yeah.
So Travis Hunter making $2.3 million, and then we got, like I said, the first Bronny James, of course, being a James. This man is making $5.8 million.
LeBron James Jr.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like these kids are making well over 6 figures just to be in college. Yeah. So just like how said, what stops me from not playing now all 4 years to where now I'm getting this bag for 4 years, and also the college is getting another star for 4 years.
What?
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, they have an incentive to stay now. Like You feel me? Because, I follow mostly NBA. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I rock NFL. But I just know that with the NBA, at least, it's, we have one and dones. Yeah. But now people might stay at college for much longer just to get that bag. And also, I feel like the traditional schools, I feel like all that is about to change. Like, we usually see majority the same schools competing for the tourneys, competing for the national tournament. So I'm thinking with now they're able to get this bag from pretty much any school, they might choose the money over over the tradition of a school. You know what I'm saying? And, which ain't nothing wrong with that. And I'm glad they're able to have that now. You feel me? So I feel like it's pros and cons to it, but I feel like the pros outweigh the cons.
Like, what y'all think some of the cons would be? Because for me, I'm thinking just like Mike said, if I can go over here and get 1.2 mil, why am I about to finish my 4-year degree for real? So I'm a BS in school and then just go and play. Because now I got the bag that I'm going to school in the first place. So long as I got and make the right investments, I'm set.
I would say me personally, a big con for like, and I think a lot of people overlook this one, is it kind of puts high schoolers in a very, very messed up situation, because now that we have NIL, of course you have that top percentage of high schoolers who are, 4 and 5 star. Those guys are going to be good regardless. But I'm talking about more like the guys come from my cloth and below, the hard nosed 3-star, you know what I'm saying, that is trying to make a way out of high school. I feel like those guys are going to get overlooked, because now we're in this era where the college scene is starting to look like the NFL scene, and now college coaches are being expected to win right now. So if you're trying to win right now, why would I take a 17, 18-year-old kid out of high school that, you know what I'm saying, he has potential, but he still has to be developed for a year or two, versus me taking this money that these boosters are giving me now and dropping this bread on this kid that's coming out of either he may be a second or third year that's already in Division I, or he's a JUCO guy. You know what I'm saying? But these are guys that are grown men who've been in college weight rooms and all these programs, have eaten, and they know how to play football at a higher speed. And we're trying to win right now. Why wouldn't I go that route versus playing and kind of rolling the dice on these high school kids that we haven't even seen play at this level yet? And that's one of the biggest cons right there that I feel like people don't talk about enough.
So that's real, bro. I'm glad you said what were you saying, Mike? I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
No, you straight. I was just gonna ask. So you thinking they're gonna look at the transfer portal before they
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
100%.
Look at a high school athlete. Okay.
I wanted to speak on that, bro. So the space that I work in outside of my 9 to 5 in the basketball evaluation space, getting to come across prospects in the North Carolina area and spend time speaking with them, their parents, their high school coaches, AAU coaches, etc. It's provided me with a little bit of information in regards to what you just said.
Yeah.
One of the main things that I talk about all the time in relation to modern recruiting, and I'm going to just stick to the basketball side with this one, but it definitely feeds into what you were just saying. I saw one of the more respected basketball names in North Carolina, Rick Lewis. Any top prospect in North Carolina, they've come across Rick Lewis at one point or another. Phenom Hoop Report, in my opinion, the most reputable platform in the state, maybe even on the East Coast. He retweeted a college coach that stated the hierarchy of recruiting priorities from college coaches now. Yeah. They say in the league, number 1 is re-recruiting your own players, because like you spoke about that NIL situation. Every single year, it's like re-signing your whole roster to a new contract, pretty much. That is what it looks like from the outside looking in. Then you go from re-recruiting your own players. Number 2 is the transfer portal. Number 3 is JUCO. Number 4 are prep school kids. And then finally, number 5 are high school kids. So I'm noticing that some of the more talented prospects that I've seen at their position in years, guys that if you would have put this same player back in 2010, he'd probably have a flurry of offers. And now he's just scrambling to get one coach to believe in him, to bring him on campus. So it's directly impact the high school kids, man. And that's why we're seeing so much talent fill up these prep schools, JUCOs, etc. I'll never fault a kid for reclassing in high school, because if you're paying attention to the landscape, you got to put yourself in a position to compete when it's your time to be recruited. And then that second point that I want to bring up real quick, I hear a lot of people complaining about modern men's college basketball in comparison to the women's side. And one of the primary complaints that I've heard is that the men's side is lacking stars. The WNBA, they have that rule where you have to stay, if I'm not mistaken, at least 3 years. And with
I think so, yeah.
college basketball on the men's side, you can, one and done and do your freshman year of college, get up and go to the draft. So I do think that's definitely impacted the college game on the men's side, not having a lot of players that people perceive to be stars.
Yeah.
That one and done rule. But I think NIL factors into that as well, because I think that if players were willing to commit to the schools that they were with as freshmen, so as long as the situation is, beneficial for them, I feel like we would get back to that seeing stars if we see the same guys stay on campus for 2-3 years, as opposed to 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here, never getting time to really establish any type of reputation amongst the national audience. So I agree with everything you just said there, man. That was real.
Okay, yeah, that's great perspective, because I didn't think about it like that, because I'm looking at it strictly from a fan's perspective. You know what I'm saying? So that makes sense, because I can name 4 women's college players right now. You know what I'm saying? But I can't name but a few, maybe less, maybe like 2 players in men's college basketball right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to college basketball as much as I used to, but yeah, and that's saying something, because I know Angel Reese, I know Fly, I know Juju, I know Caitlin Clark, and that's just off the top of my head, and that makes sense. And I know, closing on this subject, do you all think there would be another alternative for high school athletes that are in the 2-3 stars that once maybe had some D1 offers or any offers in that perspective? Do you think that there's another alternative for them?
I think that they might could open that joint back up to almost like going to the league, or being able to go like straight professional to these other leagues that they got now, to be able to make that bread and also still be able to get that same competition. Because like we got how many different leagues? I know LeVar had started a league at one point, and then is it Overtime Sports?
Overtime Elite.
Yeah, Overtime Elite, that has their own league and stuff right now. I think they're actually in the playoffs and stuff right now. But just being able to get that type of competition and still get paid or get some type of deals from that, I think that'll be their alternative, because you can still get shine. Like, these things are on YouTube getting millions of views like every day. So it's pretty much the same as being on TV and being on a major like game on TV.
Okay, for sure. So bad. I was just trying to see if there's an alternative.
I think it could be, man. I think that, I'm gonna be honest with you, when the Overtime Elite League started, I was a skeptic. I ain't really believe in it like that. I thought the way it looked, the way it was formatted, just seemed a little bit I won't even call it unprofessional. It just didn't align with what I was used to seeing with legitimate basketball leagues or competitive basketball leagues. But when I look at them and then I really compare them to the G League Ignite, and I look at some of the prospects, the Thompson twins last year got drafted out of the Overtime Elite, and they're both getting playing time for NBA franchises. When it comes to the G League Ignite, I've noticed that every player that signed with the G League Ignite, whatever they were projected going in to their first game with the G League, their actual draft spot falls when the NBA draft comes along. I remember Jalen Green was projected to go number 1 over Cade Cunningham. He lost that. Jonathan Kuminga was projected to go top 3. He fell out of the top 3. Any player you can name, there was a projection that they had prior to going to the Ignite versus where they actually ended up getting drafted. And then you look at the Overtime Elite League, some of the guys that are projected or have been projected to be pros over there. We only had 2 examples right now with the Thompson twins. I know they had Dominic Barlow. He played for the Spurs. I don't know if he's still with the Spurs, but I know they've had a couple of guys that's gotten some shine from over there. But they've got players that are currently enrolled in the Overtime Elite League who I believe could be pro down the line. Ian Jackson going to North Carolina next year. Eli Ellis, he's an undersized point guard playing for the YMG Dreamers. He's a North Carolina guy, but I think he's going to South Carolina next year. He's tough, man. And that overtime elite league, while it may not come with what I perceive or what I would imagine to be the same amount of viewers as maybe an NCAA tournament game, some of these kids' followings is out of this world, bro. Like what the following that they're getting from the overtime elite league in comparison to what they get from these universities is night and day. So I mean, Robert Dillingham played in that overtime elite league, and he's probably the most exciting college player we've seen since Zion Williamson. So
no cap.
It just goes to show that there are alternatives, and we've seen that these alternatives can produce legitimate talent. I think it's just a matter of really removing bias and removing that, I guess that confirmation bias you had coming in, or I had coming in, where I thought they weren't going to be legitimate just based off of face value. So I'll say they proved me a little bit wrong, and I think we could see some more organizations like them come, as time goes along. But it takes money. Like House said, it makes the world go around.
Sure.
All right. Have y'all moving on to the next one? Have y'all seen what happened to Cam Newton this past week?
Oh yeah,
yeah, man.
We see. I think
I'm a Panther fan, man. It's my quarterback, man. So yeah, I seen all of
it. Facts. Speaking of this joint, yo, for y'all who ain't seen the clip, we about to roll this clip real quick just so everybody can get a little bit of knowledge of what we talking about.
Bro, lad, what are you doing? Shit.
All right, so that's just a little bit. That's just a little bit of what we got right now. But how y'all feel about how y'all feel about the supposed 6 people that jumped Cam Newton, man? What y'all thoughts on it?
Yeah, who go? Do somebody else go first, man? I ain't about to start off every time.
No, you straight, bro. I was gonna say, man, shout out to Cam hat first and foremost.
Crazy, super sturdy.
Yeah, like you feel me? Like it didn't even budge for real. Like, but nah, like first of all, Cam 6'6", 6'5", 250. He was a Super Bowl quarterback. You know what I'm saying? MVP of the league. He had to go against like Von Millers of the world. He had to go against a lot of people. So a regular person ain't gonna just take Cam to the grandpa. So like he ain't gonna be able to just like knock Cam off his pivot. But in a serious note though, like I don't know what was said. Of course, I don't think we know what was said for this to spark off. But he's at a camp for kids. And it came to I found out that those were adults that was fighting him, but it's just was what Cam said, because I think Cam had spoke about this yesterday. He was saying that he sparked it, right? But I want to know, in that setting, what did he say that was that bad for them to want to attack him like that? Because Cam, hosts these 7-on-7s. He hosts these football events, these camps. So the kids can get an opportunity to be seen or get an opportunity to learn from Cam. And I just feel like it's so disappointing that it had to happen at that setting, for the kids to see, because it make it seem like, oh, you can just talk any way to Cam, and you know what I'm saying? Because this ain't the first incident, and Cam, one of my favorite quarterbacks. He one of my favorite players, period, all time. Like, it's Tom Brady 1, it's Cam number 2. Like, he's one of my favorite players, and just seeing this, I know if I was a kid at this camp, I'd I'll be mad because like you're attacking my favorite QB. But not only that, I came here to learn.
But to me, it just goes to show, man, that like in a time where you should be locked in and, you know, taking every opportunity to learn literally any and everything that this guy has to offer in those few hours that you're out there, you have some kids are going to follow what they see. And, I'm sure the kids had some part of doing it too, but you have adults who are now allowing their pride and their ego to then step in front of what the kids came there to do. Because at the end of the day, it's for the kids. It's for kids to get better. And that instead of us talking about, you know, some future prospect that we saw at that camp, we're just talking about what went wrong at the camp, which is, I feel like that in itself says a lot about how this whole situation transpired.
Yeah.
Hey man, I agree with that, man. I think that we've kind of gotten to a point. I'll say young people have gotten to a point where respecting those who have accomplished something in their field or who have accomplished a lot in their field is not as frequent as you would hope it would be, especially in a world where if you ask any kid what they want to be, generally you're going to hear something of success. Kids want to be successful. They want to reach a point where they can say that they have done something successful in their lives. So while, like Mike, you said, these weren't kids that were fighting them, I'm looking at the leader of the organization. I want to say they were TSP. That's the name of them, TSP. Some of the coaches from out there, they ended up getting into the altercation with Cam Newton. I just didn't understand that. You know, I'm sure you had to pay money to be out there at that event. I'm sure you had to practice, prep your kids to go out there. And if you're in it for the right reasons, you want these kids to achieve a level of success themselves one day themselves as well. But I believe that if you put them in a situation where they can receive information from somebody who has achieved a ton in the sport that they also want to be successful in, like House said, and then you use that opportunity to go at the guy, make a video after the fact, not bragging about it, but acting extremely cavalier about the fact that you stepped to an NFL quarterback, I think it just kind of speaks to a lack of prioritization. Like, what do we even go up there for? What was the purpose?
I don't mean to cut you off, bro. But I just have to also add, this guy is a multi-millionaire. He has no reason to be out there. He could be in his many mansions just doing whatever he wanted to do, but he decided to go out there and help kids. That's all I had to say. But yeah,
hey, that's real, what you were saying. And if these kids want to be able to provide for themselves, maybe not even at the same rate, but just at a rate that they're satisfied with, let's say one or two of those kids don't reach that point and they fall off somewhere down the line, is that coach even going to have the ability to self-analyze, self-assess, and see where they played the role in that kid's lack of success? Like, I feel like there's not really a ton of accountability for the people that are in these positions leading young people. So it's kind of like a free-for-all, man. I think if you don't have somebody in position that's going to lead you the right way, but you just trust this dude because he's big bro and he's been around for, you know, who knows how long, you might be falling into the trap of stagnancy and don't even see it because you respect this person so much. So it's up to the adults to kind of vet themselves and the parents to vet the adults that they're going to be putting their kids around to make sure that they're not sending their kid to a situation that's only going to damage their mind. And I feel like this was definitely just a damaging situation. Like nothing came from it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I definitely agree.
Speaking of our generation or like kids after our generation, do y'all feel like they're being like overly disrespectful or like what's the reason that this generation is being like so disrespectful? Do y'all feel like it's because everything is on social media and everything's just in the light right now? Or is it just how maybe these kids are being raised this time? Like,
it's a combination of all of it, bro. I personally feel like it's a combination of all of it. You know what I'm saying? You have a generation of kids, I would say, and now at this point, it's our generation of now young adults who are having kids, and they themselves haven't really matured, and you know haven't done like some. You said, I can't remember who it was. I think it was it DeAjai? I think you said that we have a total lack of accountability. It's just nationwide in all facets of life. Like literally in all walks of life, there's so many different times where just having accountability will allow us to move forward, but we haven't, because a lot of people just aren't able to see where they're going wrong in certain situations. But like, I mean, just to get back on track, you have all these people in our generation who haven't learned how to be adults and functioning proper adults in society. And then while they still haven't taken the time to learn that, they've birthed children into a ever growing society where, you know, you have all these different technological advancements, and people have iPads and iPhones and tablets and everything else in between. And there's so much like overload of information, and there's so many different ways for people to be able to access other people that just didn't exist before. And you go now on any post on Instagram or any comment section, and you'll see just thousands, tens and tens of thousands of people who are saying things and voicing things that they would not say face to face, but because they are able to say it on a screen where, you feel me, they're almost hidden, even if their account isn't private. They've almost like just forgotten what it means to say something to someone, and maybe and some people are just flat out hateful. Don't get that twisted. But I feel like also a lot of people just say things not really realizing, because it's almost gotten to such a place of fantasy where you just go onto the internet and then you can just like say whatever, do whatever, be whatever. People just don't really think about the impact of the things that they're saying to other people. And you know what I'm saying? You may have a person post their child, and their child may have some type of disability or deformity. And this person who you know loves this child dearly, lives with this person every day, they've now posted this child to the world, and now you have anybody saying any and everything about this child, and it just kind of like breaks your heart almost, because it's like, it's one thing for people to, you know, joke. I mean, it's all like, if you're going that route, then it's wrong. Don't let me just lead you there. But it's one thing to be saying things behind, you know, in DMs and closed doors, but for people to just outright comment on a person's post and say hurtful things, where, you know what I'm saying, like the actual person who posted it can see it about their child, or it just makes it so that, you know what I'm saying, there's so much vulnerability, and there's like not really any consequence for what can come, you know what I'm saying, once you allow yourself to be that vulnerable, if that makes sense. So that, I mean, I just feel like, man, it's a combination of everything, bro. We're just like, we're so far gone with technology now, and it's only going to get more advanced, that we've allowed people to just say and do whatever with almost no consequence in return.
That.
That's right.
What were you saying, Mike?
No, I was gonna say, like, you're exactly right, bro. Because people now are able to troll with no consequences, and now that's seeped into real life. People feel like they can just say or do whatever with no consequences, but real life is different. You know what I'm saying? But they can hide behind a character or a portrayal of someone, and they've been able to do that with no regard. And so I feel like a lot of people are basing trolling on real life. So they will read something on Twitter and think, oh, so this person, so it must be a lot of people that live like this, because a lot of people are retweeting this, or it has a lot of views. So it must be a lot of people that lives like this. However, like, it's a lot of people who are faking lifestyles. It's a lot of people who are miserable behind the scenes. It's a lot of people who are not what they portray on social media at all, because it's a highlight reel. It's for views, clicks, it's for likes, it's for comments, it's for whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm like right at the tail end of life before social media. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was a kid, MySpace was out, you know, but I had a couple years before the social media era was out that I can remember. You know what I'm saying? But anybody younger than me, they grew up right in the Instagram, the Facebook era as soon as it came out. You know what I'm saying? So they are used to these trolls. They used to this internet life, and that's have seeped into the real world now, and that's not how the real world is.
I hear a lot about the youth's inability to communicate now. I won't call it an inability, but I'll say a lesser ability to communicate effectively in person than previous generations or people were used to for previous generations. And I definitely believe that the access we have to people via social media plays a significant, part in that lack of interaction that people are getting in person. I think that the access we have to people of status who we've perceived to be so high up in their field or so successful, so rich that they wouldn't even pay attention to somebody who hasn't reached that level of status. I think that's put people in a position where they feel like they can talk crazy to them first and foremost because they think those words won't be seen. And I think over time, it's almost like when you playing basketball, like pickup ball, playing football, like trash talk just doesn't start great. People just don't start off with a sharp tongue. They don't really start off knowing how to cut somebody's throat verbally. But the more practice you get doing it and the more comfortable you get with it, kind of like Mike was speaking on, you kind of adopt it. It's almost like when Spider-Man got covered with the venom. It's like you're kind of adopted piece by piece this new persona that you've adopted by talking to people who wouldn't ever really respond to you in the first place. But now you're taking that set of verbiage or that set of, I guess, that grouping of confidence that you have, and you're applying to everybody you come across. And kind of like what we saw with the most recent topic, there can be consequences to the things that you say. You hope that they aren't physical. You hope nobody gets hurt, but you can't dictate anybody's reaction. Like House was saying, you have freedom of speech. You can do and say what you choose to do, but you also have to be prepared for the consequences that come along with that. And I think that's where the disconnect happens. I think we're prepared to speak and we're prepared to be vocal and be critical, but we aren't prepared for what happens when that celebrity puts us on the Summer Jam screen and now they're actually making us stand by our words. And it's a lot that environment is too big for some people. And so myself, I've tried to be very cognizant of how I speak on social media, even if somebody's bringing negativity my way, because I don't believe in selective politicking. And I believe that if I respond to you one way and I say something to you one way because I feel like I might be able to handle myself if it does come to that, then I got to be comfortable enough to speak to any and everybody like that, including the Cam Newtons of the world. And if you know that that's not you and it shouldn't be you, then you should probably be, more conscious of how you're speaking to people if you don't want things to go wrong. And I think that's where the disconnect happens. People don't think that, there's really going to be consequences to the things they have to say until it happens.
Yeah. To speak on that real quick. My fault, Drake. You was about to go?
Nah, bro, you good. I'll go. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, bro, I seen this post. It might have been earlier today, might have been yesterday, about they said Andrew Wiggins was about to miss time again for personal reasons. And I didn't know what was going on. It was like, this is not an old post. He's about to miss time again. And so I'm reading the comments and they saying, oh, it's about his dad allegedly. I don't, what I'm saying, I ain't trying to put nothing out there that ain't true, but they were saying this about his dad. His dad is like really sick, right? And I'm reading the comments, right? And they like, he about to miss time again, man. They should just cut him. They should just waive him and stuff. Like, he already having a bad year, and then he got the nerve to miss time. And I'm reading this comment, and I'm like, all right, so if your dad was sick and you needed to take time off work and they fired you for taking time off work, you'd be boo-hoo crying because you talking about, oh, my job ain't treating me good. But you ain't. But just because he is a millionaire, he's you know what I'm saying, he's in the NBA. You think that he's just like a zoo animal. Like every time that you all come, he got put on the show. Like, bro, they got real lives behind the scenes, bro. Just like everybody. And I feel like the social media lifestyle is been elevated to the point that we live in entitlement. We live in a false perception that when people raise somebody up so high, to the point where if they fail to deliver on what they think the person should do,
are
they ready to bash them. And that's another form of trolling, I feel like, because if the shoe was on the other foot, if you had that situation happen, you would be distraught. You wouldn't even know how to handle it. But because you online, you feel like you can just say whatever, and I don't think that's cool.
For sure.
I wouldn't even say just being just because people are millionaires. A lot, especially in the time that we are now, like a lot of people are betting and doing, doing the gambling thing, and what I'm saying, it's a whole that's a whole separate like topic, what I'm saying, if we were to go down that road. But just to say, like, it's not solely because people are millionaires. It's once you kind of step into the arena, if you will, and decide to be an athlete, that people then start perceiving you as like you're not a human anymore. You're a spectacle, or you're a machine or a robot. You know what I'm saying? You're almost, so it's like you're almost like you don't, once you decide to, oh well, I'm going to be an athlete, or I'm going to be a football player, I'm going to be a basketball player. You're not. I'm not house shun the human anymore. I'm, what I'm saying, I'm number 11 and I need to go get to the quarterback, and they don't care what I got going on in my personal life. I need to get my ass to practice, and I need to get my ass in the game, and I need to compete and make plays for their team because they got some money on us winning the game. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's I wouldn't even say just because like they're professional. It's just once you get into that arena, like you like almost, you lose a bit of humanity in order to like, and it's not like a I wouldn't say that it's like a known trade-off, because like everybody isn't in it for fame or stardom or whatever, but it's I mean, as a byproduct, you lose a bit of humanity to some people in return for that stardom or that fame, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't see you as that human anymore. They see you as the amazing guy who scores touchdowns or can drop 35 points in a game, or you know what I'm saying, the guy who windmill dunks on people. You're not, you know what I'm saying, the same person who wakes up and brushes their teeth in the morning like everybody else. So that just, that's just how I feel about that.
I definitely feel y'all. I feel like, backtracking to the kids, I feel like we just need more belt to asses. I'm pretty sure everybody in here done caught a couple butt whoopings in their childhood, and I just feel like it rounded us out a lot to know what to say, when to say, who to talk to, and who not to talk to. So you know what I'm saying, like y'all was saying, consequences. Like, we need more consequences for these kids to like let them know that you can't just go out here and do anything without some effect coming from it.
Yeah.
Like, every cause has an effect, no matter if it's good or bad. And it's like, it's hard for them to recognize that though with social media, because I can go up there, type real quick, hit send, and I might not ever go back and read the replies to whoever said something to me.
Damn right, man.
So it's like, I'm not really caring if anybody say anything or not. There's no responsibility behind that. Like, I can literally just put that out anytime I want to, or set my phone up and make a video and reply to somebody or react to something and not even think twice about it. So you never know what you do and how it can affect somebody else. And I think for them, they don't really see the empathy in a lot of situations. So until they can get that down pat, man, we might be in a downward spiral, y'all, for this generation.
For sure, man.
I would say before we move on, I would, back to House's point. It's almost like a zoo animal, right? When you go to the zoo, most people are expecting the animals to be running, doing whatever, you know what I'm saying, putting on a show in a sense, right? It'll say don't tap on the glass, but people tapping on the glass just to get a reaction out of the animal, right? That's kind of how athletes, they portray athletes or entertainers in a sense, like zoo animal. They tapping on the glass just to get a reaction, and then Lord forbid that glass break. You know what I'm saying? Because the animal get mad. You don't want the zookeeper to fire a round or two on them, right? But you don't want the reaction so bad, but it's not the reaction that you wanted. You wanted the whole time, especially like gorilla, you break that glass, it ain't nothing you can do physically against that gorilla. You know what I'm saying? It's just you better hope he don't smash his head in. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's in a sense of just social media comments. It's almost like tapping on the glass. They waiting on a reaction. They want 1,000 likes just on a comment for what? You know what I'm saying? They don't have nothing to promote. They don't have no business to run. They just want the virality.
Yeah, it's the instant gratification, man. It's just like you said. I feel like that was a perfect analogy, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the athlete being the zoo animal, for but lack of better words, and then the troll being the spectator, and then the glass breaking being, you know what I'm saying, being reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
A lot of people aren't ready for that reality aspect of it. And like DeAjai said earlier, you can tap on the damn glass as many and how many times and how hard as you want to, but you can't get mad at that gorilla for what he does once that glass breaks. You know what I'm saying? You can't dictate how somebody responds to the things that you said, because you don't know. It's not your decision to decide whether or not that person had a bad day. It's not your decision to make if it's their breaking point. It's not your decision to make, or if, like, you know what I'm saying, this may be their boiling point. You know what I mean? So once you decide to tap on that glass, once it breaks, you know what I'm saying, that's like what you get is what you get.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I guess this topic kind of goes into the topic that we was just talking about. Like, does the community even police the behaviors that we do anymore? Like, is there any accountability from the community to be able to, like, set something straight if, let's say, your mom ain't there? Like, do we even care to the point where how when we grew up, we do something in somebody else's cul-de-sac, somebody else's mom about to come out and let us know, like, yo, you just did something wrong. I'm about to call your mom, and then we about to have this conversation here, and you about to have that conversation when you get to the crib.
Yeah. Like, and you know what I think switched that up though?
What?
At some point in time, parents stopped responding in that way. I think it got to a point where now parents is like you reprimanded my child without my permission. You whether it be verbally, physically, if you speak or even look to a kid wrong now, I don't think parents are as accepted as they used to be to the community policing, because I don't think that the people that were holding others accountable in our community, I don't think they just went extinct, or disappeared. I honestly think that's one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of more knowledgeable coaches and more talented coaches step away from the game, because there's too much hand-holding from the parents now. And as a coach, you can't really even you can't have your program in its entirety, because you got every player or some players' parents still holding their hand. So now the parents have kind of permeated the culture that you have set. And that could be in sports, school, whatever. So I think that now it's kind of we've gotten to a point where there is a lot of, I won't call it gentle parenting, but there's a lot of tolerant parenting going on now. And then on the flip side, when that kid gets out of the house and does start acting up, that parent sometimes may get mad at whoever does decide to discipline them. And so I think that the parents have to take a hard look in the mirror when raising a child and accept the fact that kids are not perfect. I think that I've heard a lot of dialogues in relation to kids basically excusing them of any decision that they've made. And I understand that as a child, you are a product of both your environment and the people that raised you. But at a certain age, the world starts holding you accountable for your actions. So I'm never going to be a proponent of just completely excusing the child's behavior, but I will lead with saying that the parents have to take the initiative to raise their kid to be a functioning member of society, but also recognize that if their kid gets out and falls short, there are people that will do right by that kid, but still let them know that they're wrong. And that parent has to be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I just want to, you know what I'm saying, I said earlier, and that kind of that segues into what we're saying now. He said that we're losing that sense of community and that almost acceptance for the community to be policed by other people. That goes into what I was just saying earlier, where we're having kids who are now young adults, my generation, our generation, and they're having kids, and because they haven't, you know what I'm saying, had the upbringing. Like me personally, like, you know what I'm saying, I got whooped by plenty of different people growing up because, you know what I'm saying, I firmly believe that it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different aspects to raising a child that it's almost impossible now for not even now, but just in any point in time for just man and woman to raise a child and they get and catch everything. You're not going to always be with your child. You're not always going to be, you know what I'm saying? Even before we were civilized, you know what I'm saying? Your children were going to run off in the woods and go play and do and go as children do. So there has to be some older man of the village, you know what I'm saying, that's watching out, making sure those kids aren't going or getting attacked by some type of wild animal or something. Now, vice versa, you have these young kids, young adults who are having children, and you know what I'm saying? It's my baby, my child, my baby, my child. So you ain't gonna do or tell my child nothing, da 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 da. And you're thinking like that because you weren't raised properly. You haven't even, and like you said, he said perfectly, they have to look in the mirror, but they don't even have the mental capacity to do so. So they're just gonna keep moving forward with that type of mindset, raising another unfunctioning child in society. And I feel like that's where we gotta break the cycle somehow. And that's why I'm 26. I'll be 27 in May. I'm in no rush to have a child. You know, I know that when I do have a child, I myself, the woman that I decide to bear my child and my family, they will offer, you know, as much support and, you know what I'm saying, knowledge and love and all of that they can be. But I'm in no rush because I don't know how I feel about bringing a child up in society as we are right now. You know what I'm saying? Because it almost makes me want to be like, oh, well, if I have a child, then I'll homeschool my child. But then I now take my child away from crucial like socializing and opportunity to be and do as I did when I grew up. But I know that, you know what I'm saying, when I grew up, I had plenty of, you know, you can see all your crazy stuff you see in public school, but I had sense enough to discern, oh, I need to be doing this versus that, or I need to be with this crowd versus that crowd. But who knows what that landscape would look like, you know what I'm saying, in 12, 13 years, you know what I'm saying, when our unborn children are now reaching middle school, or they're just now getting to elementary school, or, you know what I'm saying, they get to high school, and then, you know what I'm saying, they look around and their peers have been taught any and everything from any and everybody, and now, like, you know what I'm saying, you have to then have them come back home and try to, you know what I'm saying, hey, no, that, like, I know they told you this at school, but this is what we're going to do in our household, and this is how we're going to do that. So it's just like, I don't know, it's a lot, man. I feel like losing that sense of community really kind of put us off on a bad path as a society, because like now it's so many different things that you have to worry about when it comes to raising a child.
For sure.
Sorry if I got a bit long-winded right there, but that right there touches my soul, man. I love the kids, man.
For sure. I feel that heavy, bro. Like, I want to say, like, from my perspective, I feel like we, as a community, we lost a sense of discipline and guidance for kids. It's ways of discipline a child other than whoopings, right? But I feel like there's no lack of discipline. There's a lack of discipline. There's heavy lack of discipline, right? I can say kids need to be coachable, and the parents need to allow people to coach their child if it's the right advice. Now I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate in a sense right here, but I feel like a lot of people have been steered away because people have been telling their kids the wrong things, and that's why they are acting like that. Yeah, and so I feel like that's the main reason. But as far as community, we need to build ourselves up to our close-knit community needs to be able to come in and provide that guidance.
For sure. Absolutely. Like House said, it definitely takes a village. If we don't got other people around here that are willing to do the right thing by our kids, then they're only going to get what we can provide to them. And everybody isn't as equipped as they should be to raise someone that is going to be well-rounded and be able to handle the things that life throws at them when it's time for them to step out there. And like we were saying earlier, like with social media, also there's a lot of exposure that these kids get. Like there's a lot of things they're exposed to. Like I have a sister, Like I looked on her TikTok one day and I was like, yo, you looking at the same videos I'm looking at. Like literally you're seeing the exact same videos that I'm looking at. So it don't faze me because I have the discernment to know what's good and what's not. But this is the stuff that's being fed to you to where now you're able to make your own decisions too early on the same type of content.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, man. Like the media that we have these days has a lot of effect over this generation that's coming up. And that kind of leads us into this next point that we got. Like music, the music these days, I know it plays a huge part in the way that these kids are being taught and the things these kids are learning. How do y'all feel about the music these days and like how the kids are taking it?
I would say this is just starting out. Like, I feel like music always, like, since I've been alive, I've been listening to, my favorite rapper growing up was Lil Wayne. My favorite rapper currently is Future, right? So people, if you ain't never heard Lil Wayne and Future music, they have some of the most toxic bars, but I respect the music that they put out, right? And I'm not gonna sit here and say they haven't influenced me to do different things. Like I wanted Locks as a kid because of Wayne, right? But that is an influence, and some people don't have discernment when listening to music.
Yeah,
right. Some people, they see Lil Wayne sipping, they might be, damn, I want to try that. I just want to see how it feels, right? Lil Wayne making all these hits, he sipping lean, right? I want to sip lean. Then, but you know what I'm saying? But is that a fault of Wayne and Future, or is it because the child is easily influenced, right? It's being raised by social media and the TV, I should say. As a kid, did I ever want to sit lean? No. You know what I'm saying? But I can't say that there might not be somebody else who probably ain't sit lean for that same reason. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I would say they do. Music does play a huge role into influencing kids. I would not be naive and say it doesn't, because I feel like I hope I'm not being long-winded, but I view these rappers, these artists as just like movie actors, right?
Yeah.
Because they are not, I would say, majority of them are not 100% of what they portray in the song. The song is a feeling.
Yeah.
It could be an over exaggeration. You know what I'm saying? It could be the truth. But yeah, like I just feel like it's a lot of influence that come in movies and music.
You know what I'm saying? This is the segue onto what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we are relatively close in age. You know what I'm saying? So, Lil Wayne, and Future, but we just stay on the topic of those guys for our generation. Those are two guys that have made great waves in the music industry. You know what I'm saying? And in the past and even now in the present still. You know what I'm saying? So. Mike said it right on the head. He asked the question, but it was almost rhetorical because it's like music has always, like they had Lil Kim and Biggie Smalls, you know what I'm saying, a few generations before. They had Foxy Brown and you know what I'm saying, and all these Trina, you know what I'm saying. They had and Project Pat and 3-6 Mafia, you know what I'm saying. They've always had the ratchet music. Now we just have a Sexy Red, or we have a Ice Spice, or a you know what I'm saying, or whomever it may be. To deliver that sort of ratchet music, hard gutter music, if you will. But I feel like the difference is, you know what I'm saying? Like I heard Wayne drop a song about pussy, money, weed. I heard you know what I'm saying, Future talk about Molly Percocet. But I was raised enough and I had enough community around me to know damn well that just because this song is good don't mean I need to be popping no damn Molly's and Percocet. You feel me? Like that's just you feel me? Like, so, but now we have a group of kids, a generation of kids who are growing up who don't have as many people in their ear and over their shoulder telling them, hey, this is what you need to do, this is not what you need to do. You feel me? Like Juice WRLD, I say he's more tailored towards a newer generation, but I still rock with Juice WRLD. But you tailor in like his type of music, you know what I'm saying? He was known it's known that he died because of a drug overdose. When you have a generation of kids who have all this access to social media, they don't have the people in their corner that's telling them right from wrong. Like they may have mom and dad, but like I said, we've already established mom and dad alone isn't enough. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different opportunities and times where mom and dad won't be there. And if they haven't done drill for you to have that person on your shoulder telling you, hey, I don't need to be doing this, then there's now an opportunity for you to make a decision that could alter your life forever. So you have all these kids who don't have that. You have social media, which is like just running wild, and now you can hear all of this. And then you also have the, you know what I'm saying, bend that ass over, let that coochie breathe, and all the other shit that, you know what I'm saying, these rappers are saying. When you factor that in, now music has gotten to a point where it's just it's really, really bad influence wise. And then when we also go from the musical side, I think the difference between now and before is I feel like there's like a lack of thought going into what these songs, you know what I'm saying? Like it's easy to make a catchy song, you know. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's relatively easy to make a catchy song versus making a song that'll last for years, and it also sounds good, and it also has content, and it like it's catchy, but it's lyrical and it has levels to it. You know what I'm saying? Like a song, like I said, Pussy Money Weed. You think about something like that, which is extremely raw. That like the title of the song is Pussy Money Weed. So like that tells you that it's a raw song. But you listen to the song and you hear that Wayne has put some level of thought in it versus, you know what I'm saying, fuck my baby daddy. Like, what did you like? You didn't think about that. Like that's, you feel me? That's, you just getting on the song that's saying anything, and then now it's gone viral, and you feel me? Now you got the world saying it. But like, I feel like that level of like intellect and that level of care and artistry is what has kind of made it seem a lot more worse than it used to be. But I feel like it's always been just raw and you know what I'm saying, and raunchy, if you will. But the way the artists deliver it and how they're perceived in public is what has changed how influential it seems to be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And like real quick, just to say that, like, it's what they put on the outside is what we see. But I won't say 9 times out of 10, but you know, like the artist is the artist. What they do outside of their stage name could be completely different to the product that they selling us on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we've heard stories about, to Mike's point, like Future.
Mm-hmm.
Future don't really do the drugs that like he rap about. So it's kind of like, okay, cool, that's fine. Let the artist be the artist. I'm always cool with that. But on the back end, you gotta realize what type of effect you have on these other people too. You know, because Future could have very well influenced Juice WRLD, and now Juice WRLD has a more heightened perspective of the drug usage or this type of world because he was already influenced by a rapper before that. So it's a trickle down effect.
I agree with that, man. I think for me, I just don't think we live in a very research-based time. I think you speaking to Lil Wayne, both of you speaking to Lil Wayne as your favorite artist, I'm sure at some point in time of your youth, you became aware of how intelligent he was and how business savvy he was, and the positive things that his artistry can produce on the, you know, that maybe not as magnified. You got the album covers, you used to look at the DVDs, you really got insight into this artist. And I think now, for some people at least, is more interest in just the product. And I won't even just speak on the music, movies, without understanding the story behind the story, you know, the story behind the people that are portraying these characters, just getting a firm understanding of reality so you can use discernment. I feel like if you're not doing the research, all you're going to do is really take what's being presented at face value. And I make music myself. When I started making music, I was in college and it was flex music. It was just talking about things that college students really enjoy. But after I hit the real world, started working a job, I don't want to talk about how much money I have versus how much money somebody else doesn't have anymore, because I recognize that that's not what real life, you know, that's not what real life is. It's not reflective of how the real world works. So I also do think it's the responsibility of the creator to tailor their message and make sure that it's reflective of what they're actually living. Because if you are, portraying an image just to, sell, you still got to answer for that. I mean, even if it is working for you and you're successful for it, and there's much more to you outside of what you're presenting, you still got to stand by what you're presenting, because that there are some people that are going, that aren't going to do the research themselves. So I agree with what y'all said there.
For sure.
Bro.
You feel me? I just have to play devil's advocate on that, because it's like, you know what I'm saying? I think Mike said something earlier along the lines of like, you know what I'm saying? We have to. Is it that, you know what I'm saying, the influence that they have, or just not having people like just tell you that things are right or wrong, and we don't have that type of judgment to know better? When you say that, you know what I'm saying, I definitely feel like as an artist you have an almost it's your job and duty to, you know what I'm saying, be responsible for what you put out. And yes, I understand that like there are a lot of people who don't really do the things that they rap about. And you know what I'm saying? It's an unfortunate situation, but much like how the NIL situation is, I can't say I can never, but I can't really get mad at someone for doing well and being successful and making their money. But at the same time, this is where the devil's advocate comes in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a comic nerd. You know what I'm saying? I'm a game guy. I'm all of that. You won't see me try to jump off the top of a roof of a building like Batman after watching the movie. So what makes you feel like if Youngboy said he popped 12 Xans in the song, that's you feel me? Understand that you're listening to music. This is just music. That's where it should end. And I also believe that just like the eyes are the window to a soul, if you listen to too much of the wrong thing, then that will begin to affect your spiritual being and your vibes and your vibrations, if you will. I think you have to be conscious of how much you do indulge in certain genres. But at the end of the day, you have to as an adult, and this goes into being a functioning adult in society, you have to understand at the end of the day, this is music. This is not. I don't know Youngboy's last name, but I know his first name is Kentrell. I'm listening to NBA Youngboy. I'm not listening to Kentrell, whatever his last name is. You know what I'm saying? This is who he's perceived to be and who he's marketed himself as to the public. Right. So I have to know that I'm house. I'm chef house. I like to go to work and cook. I'm not finna just because somebody cut me off on the highway and I'm listening to Youngboy. Now I pull out my gun and then start shooting at the guy because you feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be able to understand what reality is and understand when that glass is about to break, if you will, like we said earlier. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It goes both ways, because yes, as an artist, you have an opportunity, you have a job and a duty to, you know what I'm saying, make sure that the type of music that you're putting out is something that you will want to be around for years once you're gone, because it doesn't leave anywhere. But at the same time, we have a job and a duty as a listener and as a person who indulges in the music to understand that this is music. This is not my life. Even if it is real life, it's not my life. It's the life of this person who's rapping this song. So you feel me? Like, I don't need to then start trying to pull fulls of lean and pop Xans and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to understand what is staying our lane and be that.
Right. And just to touch on that real quick. No, you're exactly right. I feel like I don't think it's a duty for them to limit how they portray themselves in a song, because it's art. Like, you're not going to tell a painter like, nah, don't paint that. Somebody might take it a certain way. Somebody might do what's in your painting. Like, no, it's a creation. It's a figment of imagination. It could be real life, like you said, but that's their life. That's the message that they're portraying through their character that they're marketing, which is a Future, which is a Youngboy, which is a Lil Wayne. Like, is that their real selves in there? Who knows? But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I was influenced as a kid in wrestling. I wanted to try some wrestling moves. However, like, you know what I'm saying? Some of those wrestling moves, either they don't hurt at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember I had hit my brother with a stunner as a kid. I'm thinking like, I seen Stone Cold. I seen how The Rock used to sell it, right? I'm like, all right, I'm about to just hit him with this stunner. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. You know, it hurt me more than it hurt him. You know what I'm saying? And so, influence. Sometimes, like, you know, yeah, they're portraying a character. You know, regardless, they're portraying a character. It's for us to enjoy, and talk about how great the song is, but to actually do what they're saying is just like playing GTA and doing what you're doing on GTA. That's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into our very last topic for today. It's a little different than what we've been talking about, but is there a problem with nepotism and how people are able to get some of these positions just off of being related to somebody? Like, how do y'all feel about that? Like,
Absolutely not.
For me, for sure, like that's networking, to be honest, at its highest form. Now, if I'm not qualified to do the job and is not willing to go through the training because I might not be as qualified as the next person, but if I'm more coachable than the next person, then I can reach a higher level than that person. So if I'm a right fit, put me there. But I have a problem with people being put in positions when they're not a right fit and knowing darn well they're not going to be, there's no way they're going to be able to reach the expectation they should be at in the amount of time they should reach that expectation. Yeah. So maybe just try to coach them or train them first before you even think about trying to give them that type of position. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'd say.
Oh yeah, you good, Mike?
No, I was gonna say. I feel like we gotta get it out the mud mentality when it comes to things like this. And I say nepotism, I don't see nothing wrong with it in a sense to what that's what we supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? If I've been training, if my child seen me do this for majority of their lives, right? And I'm teaching them the back end, you know, as they get older, and you know, and I have a position open for them. I'm gonna put them in that position, and I'm gonna work with my child because I have an obligation to build for my family. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. That's how I view it. You know what I'm saying? Like with anything, since I don't have a child, the next best thing is to build with my family or to build with my homies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's something that I take a lot of pride in. You know, I want to build. If I don't build with my family, I want to build with my homies. And so I feel like it's only an issue if the child of the whatever, like you were saying, Drake, is not qualified for that position and they're messing up and they're getting away with things that a normal person wouldn't be able to get away with, then it's a problem. But other than that, that's what
with limitations, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
I was really conflicted on this question when I first read it. My answer kind of flip-flopped. It was difficult for me to stay with a solidified answer because one, when it comes to the concept of nepotism, or at least just how I perceive it, I gotta address it as it is with no external factors. So when speaking on nepotism, I can't even really factor in whether or not the person is credible or not, whether or not the person is competent or not, because every situation is different. So if I'm speaking on nepotism as a general term, I mean, in a perfect world, I would love for, if nepotism is going to happen, the people that's being put in positions of power be people that actually deserve to be there. In a perfect world, I would love that. But because I can't dictate that when answering the question, I really had to base my answer off of my own upbringing. And Mike, you spoke to something to get it out the mud mentality. This question, I feel like people are going to perceive it differently based off of how they came up. The way you were raised and the way you grew up, I do feel like impacts how you see nepotism. And if you didn't come from struggle, if you didn't really see, if you didn't really want for anything as a child, I'm blessed to say that my parents were able to provide for my sister and I. We never wanted for anything. I'm grateful for that. Because of that, I think for a long time, my perception of nepotism was, hey, like they do it, whoever they may be. Let's put ourselves in a position where we can put our guys up and, you know, we can see a little bit more success just due to family connections like we've seen from other communities. But the more I've paid attention, and I could be wrong, and I hate to say this, but the more I pay attention, it doesn't even really seem like I find a lot of us in positions where we can take advantage of nepotism the way other sides can, especially the white community. Speaking of myself, I know of people who are in high-ranking positions, whether that be president, vice president, for companies that they didn't own, but they worked there for years. They couldn't get their kid a job when their kid was done with college. They couldn't just snap a finger regardless of their position and say, hey, hire my kid. They could maybe at most get that resume pushed a little bit forward to the front so they may get regard before the next kid. But I've rarely seen situations where somebody is in a very lucrative situation and they can just put their kid in a equally or soon to be equal lucrative situation just based off of that family tie. So until the playing field is even, I don't think I'm that big of a supporter of nepotism, because until we get to a point where our hard work and our sacrifice in companies that don't belong to us can help benefit, our offspring in some way, shape, or form, and maybe that day never comes because it's not our stuff. Until that day does come, I can't stand beside it, because I'm now thinking about all the people who have gotten it out the mud and did go and put in work and didn't have anything handed to them and had every odd stacked against them, and they'll never be in the position to take advantage of nepotism. But if they were, they probably wouldn't even be able to take advantage of it in the same way. So yeah, the playing field isn't even. I can't say I sign off on it, but I would love to be able to be in a position to where I could put my child in a position that they're prepared for, and they don't have to go through some of the hoops of finding a lucrative position that I had to go through or my parents had to go through. That would be beneficial. But if it ain't that easy, I just believe in people working and people working hard for what they deserve. And when they get it, I'm sure it feels much better and much more gratifying because you actually had to go through something to achieve it. So I think I'm anti-nepotism as of now, but hopefully we see a shift in the culture that makes me a little bit more comfortable with the idea.
I have two things on. Oh, damn! I just dropped everything. I just dropped everything. God damn! Hold on, yeah, I'm still here. I'm still in this.
Yeah.
All right, man, I just dropped my down. Just dropped everything. But I have two things on this. Number one, you know what I'm saying? When you said nepotism, the first thing that came to my mind was how we spoke about the NIL deal, and two of the top five, one being LeBron James Jr., the other one being Shedeur Sanders. Two are sons of one being a Hall of Famer, the other one being clearly a future Hall of Famer, like walking gold jacket. So I feel like that just kind of, and then the way you also have Travis Hunter, who I mean, at the end of the day, he was a top five recruit. He was going to do well with NIL regardless, but I can certainly without absolute surety, I can say with a pretty good idea, there's a really good chance that because he's there with Deion Sanders, his NIL situation is panned out the way that it has. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying? DeAjai said that, you know what I'm saying, when you look at nepotism for how it has benefited us as a community versus like as a whole, I kind of take the other stance only in the sense that although you know us being Black people, we haven't benefited as much from nepotism as other cultures. I feel like being able to see what nepotism as a whole does, that should, you know what I'm saying, that should make push us even further to try to make and own our own things. And even in situations where we aren't actual owners, we still doing our all that we can to kind of help our people out. And whether, even if it's not like a you know, a VP position, is something that like we've like you said, maybe it's something as simple as getting that resume pushed forward. But like Mike said in his spiel about the whole nepotism thing, I'm 26. I'm now going into my third year as a chef. You know, I'm working. And each job that I've had in the kitchen has been progress, like in a step forward from where I was before. I'm trying now as a 26, almost 27-year-old to build and establish something so that one day I can be a restaurant owner. One day I can have my own flourishing private business. And like Mike said, if the day comes that I do have a child and my child is in the kitchen with me and I'm seeing them and they're seeing what I'm doing and they're asking questions and I'm giving them game and I'm showing them the ins and outs of how to do this as a caterer and as a chef, and as you know, and whatever, and all the facets that the notches that go with being in the kitchen. If it's my job to then put my child in a situation. And like you said, also, Mike, it may be a situation where they may mess up. They may mess up a few times, but guess what? Though that's my guy, that's my person. I'm not gonna let you mess up to the point where you're now costing my business. But you're damn sure gonna get as many opportunities to mess up as possible, because I'm going to do all that I can to make sure that you're in a situation to flourish, because that's what nepotism is in its entirety, right? That's us using our position of power and our position of hierarchy to now help somebody and move them forward. So as long as it's not costing me, and in terms of a restaurant, say as long as you aren't messing up so much that, you know, our food times are going down, or you aren't wasting food and now our food cost is going through the roof, I'm gonna allow you those opportunities to mess up, because that's the whole reason why I brought you in, versus you being just, you want to be in the kitchen and then you go to somebody else's kitchen and now you're making decent money, but you may make the same mistake 1 or 2 times too many and now you're fired. You know what I'm saying? It's our job in terms of nepotism to help push the next person forward, whether it be our family, you know what I'm saying, our cousins, uncles, brothers, our children, or like you said, when we don't have children, our guys, you know what I'm saying, our close friends. As long as it's not detrimental to my business and in the grand scheme of things, I'm gonna afford you those opportunities to mess up, because that's what nepotism is. I'm gonna allow you to move yourself forward, because I'm in a position for both of us to eat, and that could then turn into more of us. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we just gotta we have to look at each situation of nepotism kind of, like, I guess, individually. You can't just like blanket it, but I definitely feel like for what it is, nepotism is it's in our favor, but we just have to do our part. And I feel like a lot of especially prominent Black people don't do their part to kind of push the next person forward. And you know what I'm saying? It's almost like a sense of like you said, where they've quite literally pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and got it out the mud. So they like, oh, if I had to do this shit, somebody else is gonna have to do it too. Versus, okay, I've done this. I've been through. I know the ins and outs. So now I'm going to make sure that the next person coming along doesn't have to go through as hard of a journey to get to where they're going. So then they can then pay it forward. And then shoot, a few generations from now, we're just popping people into the company. Versus, you know what I'm saying, people having to go that you know, that roller coaster of a ride where they're having those ebbs and flows. And ebbs and flows are going to happen in life regardless. But if you get to a point where you have so much experience in the field, they're going to be a lot more limited than where they would be if you were just brand new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree with that, man. I agree with what you just said with that, like the opposing viewpoint. I see what you're saying there, like why you feel the way you feel, and it makes a lot of sense. I swear to God, it does. You were giving your explanation, I was reading it. It gave me kind of the perfect transition into the question I wanted to ask you all. What was your ultimate deciding factor to collaborate and do this podcast, given that we've seen it's a lot easier for people to not do something than it is to do it? So outside of just the fact that you may rock with who has, you know, XYZ going on, what was you guys' reason for deciding to commit yourself to this, at least to a degree, you know, as opposed to just letting it go by the wayside?
I guess I'll start off, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. You gotta start it off, bro. You the
mind.
You
the mind, you know what I'm saying? But nah, like to that point really quick though, like I think this is an example of nepotism, but the situation with Giannis and his brother, right?
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Any day of the week, if I have a chance, if I'm Giannis, I have a chance to at least have one of my brothers on the team. I don't care. It's me and my brother. You know what I'm saying? You signing me. I ain't saying get him max money, but for sure, let him
on the
play.
roster though.
Yeah, he got to be on the roster, not no G League. You know what I'm saying? He need to travel with me for sure. But as far as why I chose to do Show Love, you know, I've spoken with you all individually, and I just know that when we collaborate together, I really, I don't even know the right word, but I really honestly appreciate y'all, bro. In a sense to where, House, I know your story. Drake, you know what I'm saying? We've been locked in for a while. DeAjai, we've been locked in, bro, since Fancy Days, bro, it's day one. And, just over time, learning about y'all, and growing with you all, I feel like this is going to be the platform to where not only you all have your audience come here, but you all can expand your audience and share your story and get your message out there, because I feel like the team that we brought on is going to be filled with a lot of great ideas, a lot of great topics. And as we come together, especially you all are my homies. I know you all just met each other. You know what I'm saying? But you all are my homies that I hold in dear regard. And I know that I wanted to provide this platform for you all to get y'all message out there. You know what I'm saying? So I deeply appreciate y'all. The conversations that we had, I was just like, man, this needs to be on the podcast. You feel me? This the stuff that we talk about is like, I wish the camera was rolling, because this is a great conversation that I know somebody might need. You know what I'm saying? Just like I can hit up DeAjai, we can talk about some stuff back in the day, and we can correlate that to what we're going through now. And you know what I'm saying? We just chopping up man to man, and I'm like, damn, I'd love to have you on the podcast, and that's why I wanted to have you all up here. I wanted to collaborate with y'all, bro. So I appreciate y'all for wanting to be a part of this, and I can't wait to see how this goes for real.
Most definitely. I appreciate y'all, man, inviting.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Glad to be here, man, for sure.
I'll say for me, just knowing who Mike is and House, and now meeting DeAjai, like, we got everything we need. We got so many different points of views that, like, I'm getting a different perspective on everything that we're talking about today, because it might not have been something that I was even thinking about at the time.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this in this fashion, just so we can get more points of views. Because it's like I feel like you're only smart when you're able to take the new information that you get, and actually make a change. Like, smart people make changes. And for us, I feel like everyone's smart here. Like, we've all said a couple times that, oh, I didn't think about it like that. Oh, it's great to hear your point of view from it, because now it gives me a different perspective. So yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this. And y'all my homies. So any homie I might is a homie of mine. So I'm already gonna treat y'all like fam, regardless of how long I know y'all.
Definitely, man.
Man, I just want to say, you know what I'm saying? First, I'm appreciative for the opportunity to be on the platform and to speak anyways, man. But, you know what I'm saying? I decided to, take part in this because, I have a lot of respect for Mike, you know what I'm saying? A lot of respect for you, Drake. I've just met you, DeAjai, but you're well-spoken, you know what I'm saying? Gentlemen, I see that you got a lot of great ideas, and a lot of you done your research. And, you know what I'm saying? I've wanted to kind of join the podcast space for a while now, but I didn't want to jump on the wrong podcast with the right things to say, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to make sure that I was on a podcast where I had enough like-minded people, so that, you know what I'm saying, we could have the type of conversations that were something that were interesting to me, but also have enough difference in opinion that, we can have, because I'm a sucker for a good conversation, man. I love good banter, man, and just going back and forth about ideas, and as far as society, and, you know what I'm saying, relationships, and anything, you know what I'm saying, you can just go anywhere. I love a good conversation, man. And so just being able to, be around people who can, laugh and joke, but also like take it once it's time to get intellectual and really break down things and be serious about things, we can have that deeper level of conversation. And so that was super important for me. So, you know what I'm saying, once I saw, the vision that Mike had, and kind of, started seeing where this was going, man, I'm all for it, man. I want to be a part of this, and I look forward to seeing, where this goes.
So and I appreciate you as well, man. That was real. I appreciate that. This question came to me this morning. I texted Mike almost off the wake up, honestly, like, hey, can we add this to the list? there's a quote that sticks with me. It's a Stack Bundles lyric. When I was looking at my phone, I was pulling it up. It says, "When I meet somebody that's genuine, my arm extends to them. Be a good friend to them. Value their opinion." And I've noticed since leaving school, a lot of the relationships I formed in Durham still strong, still got a lot of love for people. What Mike has displayed through his character as a friend and as somebody that you really want to have, in your corner. It's something every time he and I gets on the phone, I try to make it a purpose to remind him, like, I can't, thank him enough for the way he approaches friendship and the way he makes it a point to check up on his friends and call his homies and do the things that we see all the time. People say, hey, make sure you're doing this. To see somebody actually put those things into action, it means a ton to me, seeing somebody put action before word. So when that action was put forth on the table, I know whatever words is coming behind that is genuine. And I know it's authentic. And I've seen him put a lot of time into podcasting before the podcast boom. Like, there hit a point in time in media where podcasts were everywhere, and almost to the point where it developed a stigma and people didn't want to be associated with it because they didn't want to just be following the trend. Mike had his going on prior to that. So seeing somebody who's been dedicated to something, who's stuck around with something, and who's also made it a purpose to check up and make sure his homeboy is good without asking for anything in return, as long as I'm able to do it, it's really nothing that Mike can ask me that I'm not willing to do. You know what I'm saying? So as long as it's within reason. So I felt like I was gonna hear that exact same or a similar answer from y'all, which is why I wanted to answer the question. And I do believe that the overlying chemistry of this entire thing, regardless of how long I've known each one of you, I think it'll be beautiful down the line, just because I think our initial intentions for being involved are pure, as opposed to just whatever it may be, whatever the non-pure intentions may be for joining the podcast. I know we all here for something that actually means something. So it's beautiful to hear y'all kind of clarify that as well. And like I said, man, I appreciate y'all having me on. So, I'm looking forward to whatever you guys have asked for me later on down the line.
Sir, man, I appreciate y'all, bro. Like, that means a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm always phone call away. I always try to make an effort to check up on people. You know what I'm saying? Even before people I met before college, people I met after college, people I met during college. You know what I'm saying? I always try to be there. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what I'm going through, I try to put that to the side because somebody else might be going through something way worse than me. And, I just don't want people to feel like I'm out of touch, even if I don't reach out for a while because I'm dealing with something. Like, I just want people to know, like, I care about them genuinely. Like, if I call you my brother, if I call you my dog, my homie, like, that's what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want nothing from you but a friendship. That's all I want. You know what I'm saying? And even though you might not be able to call me, I'm not saying you in particular, anybody in particular, but if somebody's not able to call me as much as they want, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't hold it in no type of bad terms or anything. I know life is going, but yeah, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to start Show Love. I appreciate you, everybody, for tuning in. This was a great conversation, and we're gonna keep it going. This is episode 1. Thank y'all for tuning in. Let me know what y'all favorite topics was down below. Make sure to share this with somebody if you want to. Remember, it's all love, and we out.
Peace.